Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into a brand new 2026 market guide published by Atlant Security. If you're a business decision maker, maybe a CTO, or an investor operating over in the UAE, you're definitely going to want to stick around. Consider this your essential playbook for confidently navigating Dubai's pretty complex cybersecurity landscape. We're going to unpack the data, look at the actual regulatory reality on the ground, and of course, review the top providers in the region right now.
Okay, let's dive into this because this quote perfectly sets the tone for our entire analysis today. When you are sitting on a gold mine, security is not optional, it is survival. And it is absolutely true. Dubai's booming tech economy is being fueled by some incredible innovations in fintech, healthcare, and digital government services, which has totally transformed the city into a global powerhouse. But, as this report points out, that exact same success, well, it makes it a prime, high-value target for cybercrime. The attack surface is expanding so rapidly, and the stakes have literally never been higher. To help you find the absolute right security partner, we're covering 5 key areas today. First, the Dubai context. Second, the regulatory reality. Third, the selection framework. Fourth, the top 15 rankings. And finally, a head-to-head comparison. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The Dubai context. High stakes in a booming tech hub.
So what's actually happening on the ground? Well, massive macroeconomic trends are completely reshaping the UAE's digital landscape. Take the government's cloud-first policy, for example. It's driving this huge migration to platforms like AWS and Azure, which inherently, blows up the attack surface. Meanwhile, we're seeing explosive growth in fintech, meaning payment platforms are constantly targeted for fraud. And in healthcare, highly sensitive patient data is increasingly at risk. Because of all this, it's just no longer enough to simply tick a compliance box. You really need a genuinely hardened architecture to actually survive out there.
Moving on to Section 2, the regulatory reality, navigating UAE cyber laws. Now, missing the mark on local regulations is exactly where those big global consultancies often stumble. And let me tell you, it carries massive penalties. For example, look at NESA IS. That's the UAE's national standard for critical data, and it applies directly to government entities and critical infrastructure. Failing their strict 188+ controls, that can literally cost you major government contracts. For finance firms, falling out of compliance with DFSA regulations, which is basically the strict rulebook for Dubai's financial regulator, can genuinely mean losing your license to operate. Game over. And finally, the DIFC data protection law. People often call it the GDPR of the Middle East, and it carries steep fines of up to $100,000 per violation. Ouch. So your security partner absolutely must know these local laws inside and out.
Section 3. The selection framework. Red flags to avoid.
And this brilliantly illustrates a massive dilemma in the procurement industry right now. You have to be able to distinguish a true security architect from a simple tool reseller. Look, an architect is going to offer fundamental, structural hardening before they ever even think about pitching you a specific product. A reseller, on the flip side, they're going to push expensive software licenses on day one. As the report heavily emphasizes, buying tools without establishing your underlying security posture first is just a complete waste of your budget. Tools simply do not fix broken processes.
To protect that budget, you've got to watch out for these 5 specific red flags. Number 1, tool-centric sales, which we literally just covered. Number 2, no clear framework. Look, if they aren't using proven playbooks like NIST, CIS, or NESA, politely show them the door. Number 3 is a lack of transparency around their pricing. Run from that. Number 4, one-person agencies. Sure, they might seem cheap, but they create a terrifying single point of failure. I mean, if that one person gets the flu, your company's security shouldn't get a fever, right? And finally, number 5, no experience with sensitive data. If they haven't handled medical or payment data before, they absolutely should not be learning the ropes on yours.
Section 4. The top 15 rankings. Leading providers for 2026.
All right, we are finally here. According to the source report, we're going to count down the top 15 vendors operating in Dubai right now, and we'll look at what they actually specialize in. Let's do this.
Starting our countdown with ranks 11 through 15, we're looking at a tier heavily populated by some seriously capable niche specialists. Vision Valley comes in at 15, and they're really known for telecom integration. Meanwhile, Palindrome Technologies at 14 specializes in packet-level network defense. Then we have Systech Middle East, highlighted at 13, doing great work with SMBs and healthcare compliance. Moving up the list, Digital 14 at 12 focuses heavily on national-scale defense, and Cybergate at 11 brings some really strong core capabilities in penetration testing and red teaming. As we break into the top 10, the landscape really shifts over to the massive, globally recognized players. EY Cybersecurity and KPMG Cybersecurity sit at 10 and 9, and they focus heavily on enterprise compliance audits for regulatory-heavy industries. IBM Security grabs the number 8 spot, leveraging its huge ecosystem and AI solutions for Fortune 500s. SecureView at 7 brings deep technical cloud security, and Paramount at 6 really dominates GRC in banking and telecommunications. Honestly, if you need a massive global brand for a large-scale regulatory audit, this tier is totally your sweet spot.
And finally, we hit the top 5. DTS Solution ranks 5th, excelling in compliance policy writing. Paladion takes 4th, specializing in SOC services. Dark Matter dominates national infrastructure and government at 3rd, and Help AG ranks 2nd, with their really strong managed services for large enterprises. Now, I do want to point out an important caveat straight from the source material. Atlant Security, the actual author of this report, places their own firm at number 1. According to their stated methodology, this ranking is driven by their specialized virtual CISO offerings and a strict no-vendor lock-in approach that's tailored specifically for SaaS and fintech companies.
Section 5. Head-to-head comparison. The deep dive matrix.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how these top-tier providers actually differ in their core business models. Just consider vendor neutrality for a second. Providers like Atlant Security and DTS Solution operate completely independently, which means they aren't earning kickbacks or commissions on the software they recommend to you. Conversely, giants like Help AG and IBM Security are deeply tied to specific ecosystems. Furthermore, for growing companies that maybe can't afford a $250,000 a year full-time executive, having access to an integrated virtual CISO, which is offered by some of these firms, but definitely not all, can be an absolute game changer for your overall strategy.
Which really leaves us with this final, incredibly vital question based on today's explainer. Is your architecture truly secure, or are you just paying for tools? It's kind of a provocative thought, I know, but it's a completely necessary one. I really want to challenge you to reflect on your own current security posture right now. Are you relying on a partner who builds foundational resilience and actually understands Dubai's specific regulatory demands? Or are you simply paying for a stack of software licenses? Take these frameworks we discussed today, rethink your security partnerships moving forward, and make absolutely sure your business is genuinely protected. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.